at the White House. Joining us right now is the former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor Newt Gingrich. And Newt, it's great to see you. And what about that point? We haven't heard from the White House yet. If we were to see the White House roll back the plan to increase tariffs in December, what does the U.S. get? Do we get a promise that they're going to stop stealing intellectual property? How do you see all of this?
Yeah. Well, I think all of the problems are in the enforcement side. The Chinese routinely sign things and then just cheat. So the question becomes, if they agree, for example, and I don't think they will, but if they would agree to quit stealing intellectual property, which would require that they, frankly, would have to retrain thousands and thousands of people. I mean, they have entire divisions of the People's Liberation Army dedicated to stealing American intellectual property. So they'd have a huge re-employment problem if they actually kept their word. I think there's a tendency to overhype what we don't know, get excited by it. The truth is the economy is bouncing along reasonably well. The Chinese are in much worse shape than we are. And when you combine their economic problems from the trade system with the collapse of their pork production, they're the largest pork producers in the world, and they've now been really deeply hit by this African swine flu, which has decimated, may have killed half the Chinese Chinese pork population.
Yeah, they've got 250. I heard they have 250 million dead pigs right now, Newt.
Right.
It's
figure what's the economic cost? Well, what is the economic cost to that? And if they're going to keep enough protein, and as the Chinese have become more middle class, they like more and more protein. So are they going to import, for example, is this a bonanza for Iowa? I don't know.
Right.
All I'm saying is we tend to overreact.
They have to buy pork from us, Deirdre. Yeah. Because they have this crisis with the pigs.
Certainly, certainly. And I mean, we were even hearing these stories of guards being positioned even at the North Korea line shooting pigs that were trying to go to the south. I mean, whether or not that's true, but that came from some Asian.
Because it was spreading into North Korea. That's absolutely right. Yeah.
Newt, quick question, quick follow-up on what you said, Deirdre here, by the way, on enforcement. Let's just assume, to your point, China doesn't change that, right? Because in essence, it would also have to change its laws, which I feel like, okay, they're not going to do that. What is a win for us at this point in this trade war? How do we de-escalate, help our businesses, and get out?
Well, look, as you know, I just wrote a book on Trump versus China, and I'm frankly not very sanguine about this stuff. I think we're much too eager to find a solution. China has been cheating routinely across the board. They have an enormous threat to us in 5G and Huawei. Their intellectual property theft is extraordinary. And to get them to really change is going to be painful. And if we don't get them to change, they're going to continue to rip us off.
I agree with you, Newt.
I think this is going to take, I think we'll get an initial interim agreement, and then we'll find out that they're cheating. So then we'll have to have a second round. And I think you'll see for the next 10 years a continuous cycle of we get a deal, they cheat, we have a new fight, we get a deal, they cheat. And I can't imagine that they won't. There's nothing in their behavior right now to lead me to believe that you could trust them in terms of getting a deal.
Bingo.
Newt, it's Robert Wolf. How are you? So
Good.
What would you recommend?
Being very tough. I'll give you an example. I'd recommend that we create a tax credit for any company which wants to move its production out of China to any place else in the world, and just absorb a one-time cost and deliberately move all American production out of China as fast as we can.
Wow.
So I think we ought to say to the Chinese, that you are not our future. And you are not the only producers. You are not the only manufacturers. And frankly, I'd also look at things like TikTok, where we have this goofy army idea that we're actually going to buy ads on TikTok, which is a Chinese internet system, which, by the way, is totally censored. You can't read about Tiananmen Square. You can't read about Hong Kong.
No, you can't.
And it's crazy that the U.S. Army is thinking about paying the Chinese money to subsidize one of their propaganda systems.
Well, Google does it, right? Didn't Google go to operate in China, tweak its search engine so that if you search for Tiananmen Square, you won't get the truth? I mean, that's pretty extraordinary, isn't it?